Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. And as soon as you thought Dr. Qualls was RIP, he's back again, Dr. Qualls.
Just like Mike Tyson, baby. You can't put a good thing down. I'm back. Coach Joins, I am so happy to be here. I love this show. Love doing this with you. Obviously, Tater is on assignment this week, and you scraped the bottom of the barrel, and here I am.
No, you're right back in now. I mean, we may have to put your name back on the credits.
Well, last I checked, when we were doing our predictions, I think I'm leading in the clubhouse, or maybe even tied with you at the moment.
We're tied, which we'll get to.
Right.
Which we'll get to. Dr. Qualls, state football quarterfinals this week. I think you and I both had the job as district athletic director, and you would be the same. A little disappointed to only have two teams in the quarters, but here's where the magic happens. The two that are left, I think, are going to win it.
Well, you kind of destroyed my intro statement to this. That now the real football begins because we've gotten past the first two. I think there's a little bit more parity in the last round than what usually shows up there specific to WCS, because we usually are playing an elimination game this coming week. And unfortunately, we didn't make there. But, yeah, this is good football from here on out.
It really is. Hey, let's jump in and start with 6A. Number one, Ravenwood. 45-13 winners over a really improved Franklin team. And this is one that a lot of folks thought would be pretty tight. I went on record as saying that I felt like the nature of their last contest, it got a little chippy. I felt like Ravenwood would be dialed in, and I'm just going to tell you, I don't say this as anything but what I consider to be the truth. When two teams play, if the better team plays well, you're in trouble. The better team played well, and it was a running clock early in the second half.
Well, I give Coach Atkins, I know he's not in it for beauty awards.
What do you?
We're talking about second chances and RIPs. Let's talk about the doctor defense out there at Franklin High School. He does a really good job of making sure that defense is on point, and they've done a really good job. You think about the turnaround that Franklin's had this year alone, there's something to be said. But when you run into a juggernaut, at some point in time, that rubber meets the road in the playoffs, and they hit the number one team in 6A. It's just all there is to it. Ravenwood, so much to be said. I know we're going to get into it, but I want to talk about Franklin and the job that he's done this year. Congratulations of getting into the playoffs, not only getting in, but winning the game and getting there. But let's talk about Ravenwood. Number one team for a reason, Coach Joins.
Listen, get this. First possession of the game. First drive of the night. 97-yard drive. I don't know why they had the ball on the 3, but they did. 97-yard drive. They capped it off with a Maverick Chance quarterback keeper for touchdown. To give that some perspective, 97 yards in one drive. Listen to the total yards. Ravenwood had 418, 323 rushing. Franklin, who has a great offense, 31. That's not a misprint. 31 total yards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is also uncharacteristic of a Will Hester coach team.
You're thinking about flicking it around.
Thinking about putting a little ripple on the page there every now and then, but you know what? Good coaches don't deviate from the plan. The 1-3-1. Get out of it. You're behind. Guess what? They shoot their way right back to you. There's a prime example. If the run is working, why change it? Let's keep doing those things. We talk about the two-quarterback system all the time. If you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. 1-3-1 is not a good defense. Show me. And here it is as a prime example of using a two-quarterback system. Not only that, but sticking to the plan of what's working for that night. Right there's a prime example, 323 yards rushing.
Hey, I'm going to flip the script on you a little bit. I want to see if you're buying or selling.
Okay.
Coach Hester says two-quarterback system with these guys, Chance and Maverick Chance, Femi Babalola. He says it's the same offense. Nothing is different. It's just when they get in there, they naturally make some adjustments based on the kind of players they are. For example, Maverick has 151 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. And then you look at Femi. He had a touchdown pass to Max Kemple that gave Ravenwood a 31-7 lead. So are you buying that it's exactly the same and they just make their own? It's different based on their skill set, or do you think the calls are a little different?
Come on.
Keep in mind, Mama Hester's watching
Come
too.
on, Mama Hester. I love my guy. Will. Now let's talk about this. We got the state championship now. I'm going to go back on what I just thought, because you go back to state championship days. The very first state championship game I ever attended as the district athletic director was Ravenwood against one Maryville. Hester, George Qualls. He goes for 2. He said, if we score, we're going for 2. He never deviated. So if he tells you that, I probably agree with it. I think there are some scenarios and maybe some wrinkles at a very interesting time in the game. Yes, there are opportunities for that, but you know and I know they've got their game scripted and they stick by it. And obviously if it's on this hash or on that hash, they may change some things around. But, you know, if Hester tells you he doesn't deviate from it, it's probably the truth to it, which I find very interesting because a person like myself, given a scenario, would want to say, okay, this quarterback's faster than the other, so let's do a different sweep or whatever. But if it's not on that script or how far are we getting away from it, hey, if it isn't broken, don't fix it.
I'm going to test your knowledge a little bit.
So I didn't answer. I first was going to sell it, but I'm buying it all the way now. G2 bar.
Let me give you a little quiz here. You'll like this. So that first team you were talking about, the Van Jefferson team,
That's correct.
maybe the best team they've ever had. They just didn't win it.
Literally one pat of the football away from winning the whole thing.
Undefeated, but they lose in the final. The next year, they win it all, but they lose once. Who did they lose to during the season?
Lost to Brentwood. Battle of the Woods.
Not accurate.
I can't believe I'm missing this question.
And by the way, Independence won it that year too.
Yes, and they did not play, for the record. Man, I'm struggling right now.
When I tell you, you're going to go, yes, of course.
Centennial.
Yes.
Centennial in the Hurricane Bowl at Centennial.
30-13.
On Channel 30 that night, it rained so hard that there was nobody there.
30-13.
I remember.
Centennial lost 2 games that year, both to Indy.
Well, you figure 2, and then they hooked up into the semis, one of the best games I've seen in my time here. Ravenwood, Hester, Centennial, they square off in the semis to go to the state
Centennial
championship.
Indy.
I mean, pardon me.
Blade.
Yes, pardon me. I say that wrong. Yes, that game was unbelievable because Ravenwood went west, wasn't even close, got in, beat Maryville like a drum that next year with a far not as talented team, which is the most interesting piece.
Blade Rector, right?
Blade Rector played in the semis, that's right, and Blade squeezed that one out and then just boat raced. I believe it was, I don't even remember who it was in 5A. I know they lost the next year to Farragut, but I can't remember who it was. But anyway, yes, some of the best games, man. That's when we were split, 5A, 6A. No different than this year. You start looking at the page scenario and what's fixing to happen. And yes, my friend, get your hands cleaned and ready because there's 2 rings coming.
I agree. So let's talk about this with Ravenwood. We mentioned Maverick Chance, 151 yards, 3 touchdowns, 151 yards rushing from the quarterback position. We talked about Babalola to Kemple. Running clock last 30 minutes. Franklin, again, 6-6 for the season. Coach Atkins' first year. Losing some really good seniors, a lot of good receivers. Quarterback Brewer Wilson, nothing to be ashamed of for Franklin. They lost to what I think will be the state champion.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you think about the job that they've done, that you've rallied the troops, you've got them to that point. I want to go back real quick. It just hit me. I'm going back down memory lane. You caught me off guard there. I was not prepared for this. There were 3 NFL players on that field of the Hurricane Bowl that they lost on Channel 30 that night, Ravenwood. As a matter of fact, it was Hester's first undefeated in all of WCS. Nobody in WCS had beat him. That was his first loss.
Jefferson,
to
Dodson,
Brian Rector,
and the receiver that went to Missouri.
Emmanuel Hall. That is correct. Nicely done. Nicely done. So, you know, that Centennial team was anchored by Tyrell Dotson, now Seahawk, Emmanuel Hall, Deion Sanders. They had the Pisacane twins that were the quarterbacks. And then on the other side, you had Austin Percy, Cole Brown, Van Jefferson. It's just, the list goes on. That was some unbelievable high school teams.
So here's what's interesting. If Ravenwood ends up winning this thing, which we think they're going to, think about all the great teams they've had. This would be the first one to be undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, there's no losses obviously now. You got to go the distance now. That's hard to believe. Either that's hard to believe or it's going to show too how difficult it is to win in the WCS.
It is, because Jefferson's team is the only other team that was undefeated during the regular season, but they lost in the final.
Yep. It's really remarkable.
It really is. It really, really is. All right, let's move on. Ravenwood's opponent this week will be Stewart's Creek. We thought we had Battle of the Woods 2 coming up, which usually happens. Stewart's Creek, it turns out. People wanted to say, Independence played close with Stewart's Creek because they're not very good. Wrong. The job, Tate and I talked about it last week, the job that Coach Stidham did, having those kids ready against Stewart's Creek, Indy almost knocks them off. Listen, you're not chopped liver if you beat Brentwood High in the playoffs. It's a game that, I watched the end of it. It was still on TV when I got home after the Page Centennial game, and they had a shot. I felt like it was going to be what Dennis King always used to say, the Bruins always come through when it really matters. They attempted a 54-yard field goal to end the game. Goes to overtime. I'm like, overtime, Stewart's Creek, pack your stuff up, it's over. But give Stewart's Creek credit, they win 17-10.
I agree with you. I mean, if you're sitting there and I'm in Vegas and I'm putting money down, the Bruins roll through this game. They get ready. Could be, you hate to say it, were we looking forward, to the next week possibly, kind of maybe didn't take Stewart's Creek deep enough? I don't want to get in all that. I'm not saying that. It's easily done at this age. Sometimes you're thinking, man, we'll get through this week and we'll go there. Stewart's Creek was laying in the weeds, ready to go and looking to win. However, I do think that the Bruins did pay their last I think they paid it forward for another Brentwood school, the school they don't want to mention, that they have woken Ravenwood up to not fall into the same trap, right, of playing next week. So I don't think that this will be repeated again. I think they have hit their ceiling, as I'd like to say.
Brentwood ends the season 9-3. They're down 3-0 heading to the fourth. I'm checking it out on social media. I see that a J.C. White to Clayton Merrill touchdown gave Brentwood the lead. I'm like, that's it. They've got it now. But then Stewart's Creek, give them credit, they responded. Brentwood ends up getting a field goal from Keenan Fisher, 24-yarder, with under 2 minutes to go. They tie it up. Again, it goes to overtime. They end up dropping the game. Clayton Merrill, great senior there for Brentwood. Gavin Nelson led them in offense again with 18 carries, 94 yards. And I still go back to great year for Coach Finch and his squad. They had one guy, Mason Ball, who had a great year. Mason had a wonderful year. He was the only guy they had back on defense.
That goes to tell you what kind of job they did coaching-wise and plugging in new folks. Is Clayton the last of the Merrill clan?
We got one more.
You got another one?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, great name, great athletic family up there at Brentwood. Pretty special.
Pretty special. Let's go into 5A. Page, 29-3 winners over Centennial. Listen, I know this is your favorite part of the show. It's time for the gym.
I've got a third party joining us for the gym today.
The sound effects, listen. Centennial Page played 4 times the last 2 years. Both years playoffs. Page ends the season for Centennial. Page 4-0 during that 2-year period.
So let's talk about the pundits. I was with the pundits on this one. I thought this would be an extremely dogfight of a game. I never in 1,000 years would have thought that they'd have held Centennial 3 points. This defense at Page is, I go back to those days when you're talking about, you mentioned the state championship, Independence and Blade. They had some unbelievable defenses, man. You're talking about Hunter Dupree and that defense anchored by those guys, and TJ Sheffield and those guys went both ways, Nate and all those guys. They just flat could score the ball. They didn't really care. They hoped that the other team scored within 30 seconds. That would give them a faster and more time to score. They never held those defenses down. This team right here, what is the point total? What are we at?
So get this. Here's a stat for you. They're 12-0 in 10 games. No touchdowns. And the one was Glencliff. It was like an accident that had happened. And the other one was the Centennial game. So Centennial scored a touchdown on them earlier. It's just, it's amazing what they're doing. It really is.
And furthermore, we talked about it forever. It was week 6 or week 7 before they had their first touchdown scored on them.
7, I think it was.
Or the first point scored on them, actually.
Right.
And we're sitting there thinking, okay, once that dam breaks, how bad is it going to be? Is it going to be some one of those things that you're going to have to say, all right, let's pick ourselves up and go? They never missed a beat.
Never missed a beat.
Anchored by the Dukes of Hazzard. I mean, are we talking about these dudes are unbelievable at this defense. And you know what? Furthermore, how many points did they give up the week before?
0.
So they've given up 3 points in the state playoffs.
Yes.
I'm putting it out to you right now. Ains, Hazzard.
Well, it was 2. It was a safety, 2.
Okay, so they've given up 5.
But that didn't really count.
That doesn't
the
count.
offense gave it up.
That really does. Yeah, I'll give you that. That doesn't count. I'm calling you out right now, defensive Page. break the record for state playoffs of points allowed. Break it.
It's something. Well, they won't be looking past this week, but I'm looking past it. I'm looking forward to that. I said it listen, I got to call my man out, Tommy K. Krager. I know he watches. Early in the year, we were at media day, and I said, Tom, let me tell you what's going to happen. Beach, Page in the semis, winner wins it all. He said, watch out for Southwind. 52-13, the Buccaneers rolled. It's Beach, Page. Winner wins it all. What are you looking around for?
I'm looking for some beach orange in here somewhere because
I didn't say they're going to.
I knew it was coming. Listen,
I didn't say they're going to win.
Run that wing tee, pistol, run. Just get ready because that gap closure's fixing to happen. That inside belly left laser is going to come through there, and the Dukes of Hazzard is going to meet him face to face.
I'm not saying I think they're going to win.
Bring it. Bring it. It's going to play right in their hands.
Hey, and it's like, hey, listen, in case anybody's wondering.
It's going to be a good game.
Somebody asked,
it's going to be a good game. I'm giving you a hard
who
time.
are you pulling for, Page or Beach?
I know who you're pulling for.
I'm like,
I know who signs the checks.
Yes, down there at the bottom, it's WCS.
But it's great to have friendships. It's fine. We throw out that all the time. Beach is going to be really good. They'll be ready. But if I had my get your popcorn butter out because it's I'm just telling you this group. Let's just play hypotheticals. If Page can hold Beach to one or less touchdowns, that would be an unbelievable feat, would it not?
It would be. I just.
You heard it here, folks. Hey, fellas, put that up. I'm calling one or less. He's calling more. Use it. Show me that. Show him.
I didn't call anything. Hey, listen. Give me some stats here. The freshman, Isaac Ote, 2 touchdowns, 10 carries, 73 yards. Hazard, who you mentioned. Brendan Ains, they combined for 5 tackles for loss. By the way, I saw Daddy Hazard at the game, just like son, always smiling, personable. Love to see him at the game. I spoke to Eric at the game too. You know I love Hazard. I was on him early as a sophomore.
You were.
It's
got my guy Grant Jean
tough,
throwing
man.
touchdown passes. Pete's in the stands. MTSU blue colors on, wishing that the Ains Hazard show would come over there to the Blue Raiderville. But that's not
he can forget that.
He can forget that, unfortunately. It's just really remarkable. Let's not leave out their corner. Corner escapes my name.
Wilson, Knight.
Yeah,
No, you're talking about Weebush.
I'm talking about Weebush. All of them. It's not just because Ains and Hazard are out there. I mean, they'll be the first to tell you, hey man, our defensive unit is one collective group. It's not just 1 or 2 players. It's everybody around and what they're doing. Athletically, it's just it really is remarkable. I don't know that I could have seen this coming defensively.
You talking about how good Ravenwood's defense? Page is just as good.
Could we have?
It's a shame they don't play.
It's a
Now,
shame they don't
Dr.
play.
Vaden said when you have a fundraiser, when the year's over.
Well, I said that years ago when Blade and Hester won it. I thought we could have a fundraiser and just do like at that time it wasn't cool to do flag football. We could have done a flag football exhibition and made all the money in the world of those 2 offenses going at it. But yes, it is a shame that Page hadn't played.
So you're telling me as district AD that you really had a lot in common with ideas with Dr. Vaden?
Yes. Hey, when you know a winner and you see a winner,
Latch on.
this goes to the prescription of the week. When you see a winner, you hook your wagon into it. Dr. Vaden is a winner.
Hey, let's talk about Centennial. We love what Jamal Stewart's doing there at Centennial. They end the year 7-5. Had some great seniors, Riley Turner, Kanai Johnson. Hey, and Tate and I, we got an email from our man Eric. He sent it and said, hey, Carlos Vigil. We've been pronouncing it wrong and make sure we get it right, even though it's his last game. Carlos Vigil. Another fine season for Centennial. And again, I like what's happening on Mallory Lane.
Have you been saying his name?
About 3 different ways. I don't think it's as bad. Y'all had one that was really good.
Vigil.
I'm usually pretty good about that. I really am. So
I didn't see the problem. I don't know what y'all been calling it.
yeah. Well, it's not spelled that way, trust me.
No.
Nolensville. This is one, not a bad loss. Shelbyville's a good team. I thought Nolensville would get it. A late touchdown and an onside. They recovered an onside kick down 33-28. They just couldn't quite cash it in. Here's what I thought was impressive. Nolensville's on the road. Number 1 Shelbyville. They've got a good team. Their only loss to Marshall County.
They're sitting at 9-1.
47-35 was what that score was. They're down 14-0.
Undefeated, by the way.
Yeah, Marshall's good. 14-0. They come back. They even take the lead at 21-20. It was a second touchdown pass. Jack Deaver Dever to Rowan Ambrose, made it 21-20, but then Shelbyville responds, and Nolensville couldn't quite catch up there at the end. I thought we'd have a Nolensville-Page quarterfinal.
Yeah, I would definitely put my money on that. Nolensville had a little bit of a Jekyll-Hyde identity coming down the stretch. Couldn't tell what you're going to get. I think, really, you think about the first matchup. How many points did Nolensville score against Page in that first matchup?
0.
Yes, and I don't think they ever recovered. I really don't. I think that they weren't expecting – I don't know necessarily. You go in every game expecting to win. Truth serum, yeah, let's make it competitive and see what happens, give ourselves a chance. 0. And I don't know that they ever recovered. They bounced back, got another win or two in there, but I just kind of had that Jekyll and Hyde mentality coming down the stretch, and you know as well as anybody, you need to be still working your way up almost at peak performance at this time of the year. It's a tough time to play Jekyll and Hyde. I think Ravenwood's that way. I think Page is that way, and this is one of those games that Shelbyville, believe it or not, came in with their schedule. I'm sure it was very strong on their strength of schedule with a chance to knock them off at 9-1 and just were a play or two short.
10-1 counting the playoffs, 9-1 regular season.
Yes, thank you.
Number 2, Nolensville finishes runner in the region. A lot of people thought that would be Centennial. And something else with Coach Derrick, except for last year. Every year he's been there, they've won at least one playoff game.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
I don't want to come across as negative of what Coach Derrick and his staff is doing out there. They have done a tremendous job this year, tremendous job. It's one of those things, as you well know, when you're coaching high school sports, that Jekyll and Hyde you want to stay away from this late. But it's not a knock on what he's done this year. He's done a great year. Great year, great career so far for Coach Derrick. Love him, love his staff. And that Nolo, the crowd out there, man, it's community, buddy.
It is. Dr. Defense Jr.
Dr. Defense Jr.
His adjustments, I'm just telling you, second half, like no other. Does a great job. Hey, I did want to mention this before we get into our pick'ems, and we'll talk about our games this week. Basketball Media Day last week. Dr. Qualls, I give you credit. You got the Media Day started. I believe maybe it was out at Nolensville. It was 134 degrees for football.
On the turf, yes.
Was that the first Media Day?
It was the very first one. It actually rained about 30 minutes prior to us starting, and it was so hot you could see steam coming up off the turf. And you know what? We had a couple of circus tents out there. We had a couple of vendors out there.
Did the spider tent, right?
It was one of those things where I was thinking this big global situation with the SEC network was going to come in. We did have a bunch of media folks come and attend.
Hey, and they still do.
And it turned out pretty good. And then we parlayed that into the WCS kickoff jamboree and led to a lot of things. We were hoping to get the Wilco Ruco Cup going. You know, just a lot of things are happening. But I appreciate the media, local and Middle Tennessee media that still supports you to this day. It's a very good event. You have up the ante on it. Those media guides are top notch. You know, really, those media guys are appreciative because you can come to one situation, spend a couple of hours, and get more than you can anywhere else combined. I know Metro has an unbelievable media day, and Ruco, and I don't know why your Beach Bucks don't. I mean, they're so good year in, year out. But, hey, let me tell you why they don't. It's because the work and the effort that goes into this. That's why. And, by the way, not having typos and not having a media guy that will rival – I mean, I know what's the pink book that used to come out? What was that?
Oh, Murphy Fair's book.
Yeah, I know. I mean, my goodness, we can never top that. But your media guide you puts out is on par with collegiate level. I don't care what anybody says. Those events are incredible, and I know that the coaches are appreciative, and the media is appreciative. So.
Well, and you mentioned this. It is kind of a one-stop shop, and we do appreciate the media. We'll have around double-digit media members there,
awesome.
And they get to do their interviews to start the year. The coaches don't have to field 8, 9, 10 phone calls. They can do it in one place. So I hate to put the coaches there because I know they're practicing, but it's nice.
It's worth it.
They like the PR for their team. And as always, I've always been impressed by this. The young men and women get up there and do a great job presenting themselves.
Well, it feels legit, man. It feels real. It's not in, it's not in a cafeteria. It's not.
Bring your own plate.
Yeah, whatever's going on out there with some, I mean, you've got legit partners, and it looks to feel the part. I don't want to steal your thunder there because I think you're going to allude to this, but there is now an educational component that you and I have kind of overseen over the last 3 years on this, 4 years now with the educational component. I'll let you talk about that, which I love. People don't know about it. It's incredible, and it's not duplicated, which I love more.
You talking about our outside the line students, our students who get they get credit for an internship. We had, and there's 6 of them. We had 4 there that night. We had David Riley, Summit High School. We had Luke Campbell in the house from Ravenwood. We had Aaron Powers from Franklin, Kyla Davis from Page. They were there doing a great job covering the event. Appreciate Mojo's Tacos and the factory at Franklin. They've been some great partners for a long time. Now, just real quick, because we're going to get into football picks. On the girls' side, Brentwood, Nolensville, Page. They've all got a lot back. I think they're the favorites going in. On the boys' side, now lots of people in the media are saying Franklin High. Title goes through Franklin High. But I will say this. We always say it, but I think it's really true this time. 1 through 8, 8 can definitely knock off 1. No doubt about it. I personally think until you knock Indy off, they're still the team.
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to have to agree. I'm going to buy the Franklin High bandwagon talk. You're right. They are the champions at the moment. And I'm a Tylen Lewis fan. So I'm interested to see how this dynamic's going to go with Tylen as the captain of the ship at Independence. I just think that the size Christian at Franklin High could disrupt some things now. I don't know.
I know why you're picking him, because your boy Scotty
he's
got him at James Madison.
He's going to JMU. What can I say? My guy Scotty Combs and the JMU staff came in here, stole one from everybody, got him up there, and Tylen's going to Abilene, obviously. Man, what an unbelievable pick for Tylen, or for Abilene as well. They got a diamond in the rough on that. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Hey, listen, don't count out Centennial. Don't count out Brentwood. No. The tournament's at Page. It's probably Coach Street's best team he's had.
Coach Tree's looking at this right now going, really, guys? What are you doing to me?
Nolensville's got a nice team. I'm just telling you what Coach Burgess is doing at Summit. It's impressive. New coaches in the league. I wanted to mention this. 4 on the girls' side. John Wilkins, Brentwood High. Marcel Williams goes from Brentwood to Centennial. Independence, Bree Jackson. Summit, Donald George. And on the boys' side, Troy Crane. Not really new. Partner with Troy Bond for all those years. Now he's running the show there at Brentwood High.
Let me tell you somebody you hadn't talked about yet that will be there when the smoke clears and will be a thorn in everybody's side.
Oh.
Coach Whitlock and Ravenwood.
No question.
Gets the best out of the least every single time.
Now, if you said best out of the least, he's going to put that up on us?
He is. I gave it to him. I did that on purpose. I'm not saying that they're terrible.
He's got a good young group.
I'm just saying, when you start talking about superstars, you're talking about signees. Name me the last big signee that's come out of there. So he finds a way to take those kids, man, buying into the system, and he's always there.
Always there.
And he will knock somebody off that he's not supposed to.
Always there.
Could be one of those 2 on this list that you just absolutely drooled all over.
All right, let's go to Pick'ems.
Coach Whitlock, put that on your locker, please.
Let's go to Pick'ems. Last week, you, Mr. Matthews, the fans all went 2-2. I went 3-1. Didn't really want to go 3-1. Because I had the Shelbyville.
I picked Nolensville.
The Shelbyville pick over Nolensville. We all missed the Brentwood pick. So let me give you the standings. With 64 wins, the fans. RIP the fans, they're going to be out of it. With 66 wins, Mr. Matthews and you and I, Dr. Qualls, are tied with 67 wins. So if we pick Page and Ravenwood to win on through, we'll end up tied.
Well, we're not going to pick away from them. I'm not. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you.
I'm not playing either.
I'm done.
Well, but you know what?
It's been fun, sir. We tied.
Yeah, but I told Tatus that he's going to have to pick Beach or Houston or something.
And it goes to the first RIP for the week. Cue the music. Tate Matthews is toast.
Now listen, though. Listen, we want the fans to keep voting. They're going to WCS CO Athletics on. Where do they go? X. All right, we got 2 picks. That's all we got. We know what we're going to pick because we talked about it. Ravenwood 12-0, Stewart's Creek 11-1. The only loss for Stewart's Creek, 42-35 to Blackman. Ravenwood beat Blackman early in the season, 14-7. I don't think that always means anything. I'll go ahead and pick first. Ravenwood, double digits.
Well, the pundit likes Ravenwood here at -11. Over-under set at 55.5. I'm taking the over, and I'm taking the points. Visor goes out one more time and looks out the sky and says, today's a beautiful day to be a Raptor.
Page, 12-0, hosting Shelbyville, 11-1. 11-1, again, Shelbyville's only loss to Marshall County, 47-35. What say you, Dr. Qualls? Oh.
If I had me a can of spinach, I'd look like Popeye at the moment. This
Where's
one's
the
gonna,
glasses?
I'm just telling you, feelings are extremely hurt
There's the glasses.
by the end of this deal. Feelings are hurt. Shelbyville can go back
It's
and
so big on you.
we can tend the walking horses. Shelbyville celebration, get ready for it because the Patriots roll big. Over under set at 44, I believe it is, maybe 42. I'm taking the over because I think that Page gets to 40 by themselves. Shelbyville probably does score a touchdown. I will give them that, but I hope not. I hope they fall through what I'm talking about. Hey, I'm challenging you all. Shut them out. Shut them out.
I'm also going with Page. I think there's no doubt about it. They're rolling. Cannot wait for the semifinal matchup. Page Beach. I've been calling it all year. Patriots are going to take care of business and win it
I
all.
can't wait to this game. Can't wait.
Patriots.
Okay. Before we get off the air, I have to give one last RIP, and it really hurts my soul to do this.
This is Austin P.
This is to Austin P actually beat Butler, by the way.
Okay.
This is to
Maybe it's R.I.P.
my
Butler.
guy, the baddest man on the planet. Please do not resurrect your career for a 4.0. Mike Tyson, I love you. I'm glad I grew up in your era. Please never fight again. Thank you. And also, the next RIP goes to the Netflix production team on a failed attempt at live sports. They should have called my man Creed.
This is great.
Everybody's turned it off by now.
Dr. Qualls, appreciate
Please
you being
sign
here.
this thing off. Mama Hester's the only one watching. Mama Hester, I love you.
Appreciate you being here, Dr. Qualls.
I love it. Been making ears bleed in Gallatin for 11 years now.
Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.